All right, let's just jump right in. Have you ever wondered why we humans are so weird? I mean, we're the species that calls itself wise. We've figured out the laws of physics, but we still fall for completely fake news and wild conspiracy theories. It's one of the biggest, most fascinating puzzles about our minds, and today we're going to try and unpack it. You know, the philosopher Bertrand Russell he absolutely nailed this problem. For centuries, we've had this idea that we're rational animals. But as he points out, when you actually look around for the evidence, well, it can feel a little thin on the ground, right? This quote perfectly sets up the conflict we're digging into. And here's the paradox in a nutshell. On one side, you have our species name, Homo sapiens, which literally means wise hominin. And hey, we've earned it. We've discovered the secrets of the universe. But then you look at the other side. Our modern world is it's absolutely flooded with irrationality. So what's the deal? So yeah, we can actually give this a name. The rationality paradox. It's this baffling, head-scratching contradiction. How can the same species that can sequence the entire human genome also be totally convinced their attic is haunted by ghosts? To solve this, we've got to look at where our thinking hardware even comes from. Okay, so the first clue isn't in our modern cities or on the internet. It's way, way back in our ancient past. See, our minds weren't forged in offices or classrooms. They were forged out on the savannah. And it turns out our hunter-gatherer ancestors they were master thinkers. For a really powerful example, just look at the sand people of the Kalahari. To survive in one of the most unforgiving places on Earth, they don't just rely on gut feelings. No, they use incredibly sophisticated logic and inference every single day. And I mean, look at this. They know the difference between causation and correlation. They get that a certain bird song doesn't make the soil dry, it just signals that the dry season is coming. They're constantly updating their beliefs with new evidence. If they see unclear tracks, they'll start with the most probable animal, not a rare one. You see, this isn't just some animal instinct. We're talking about serious brain power, perfectly tuned for their world. So here's the key takeaway. Our brains aren't buggy or flawed. They're running this brilliant ancient software you could call ecological rationality. It's perfectly designed for a hunter-gatherer world. The problem? We're now trying to run that same software in the totally alien world of today, and the results can get a little glitchy. But here is the really good news. We are not doomed to be slaves to our ancient programming. Not at all. We can consciously upgrade our mental toolkit. See, rationality isn't some gift you're born with. It's a set of skills and tools that any of us can learn and apply to overcome those glitches. Okay, you want to try one of these tools out? Let's do it. Here is a classic logic puzzle. The rule is simple. If a coin has a king on one side, then it has a bird on the other. Now you see these 4 coins on the table. Which coins do you have to turn over to check if I'm lying, to see if the rule's being broken? Go on. Think about it for a second. Got your answer? Well, if you found that a little tricky, you are in very good company. On average, only about 10% of people get this right on the first try. So why is this puzzle, which sounds so simple, actually so hard? Because it perfectly exposes a built-in glitch in how we think. And the culprit has a name: confirmation bias. Our gut instinct, our default setting, is to look for stuff that proves the rule is true. We immediately want to flip over the king to see that bird. But the real key to logic and to science isn't just confirming things. It's about trying your hardest to break them, to falsify them. So the correct answer is the king, of course. You got to check for the bird. But also the moose. Now, why the moose? Because if you flip that moose coin over and there's a king on the other side, bam, you've just broken the rule. The queen and the duck, they don't matter. The rule says nothing about them. And just like that, by using this one simple tool, trying to break the rule, we beat our own bias and get the right answer. So that's a cool puzzle. But how does this scale up? Because believe me, this isn't just about winning arguments or solving brain teasers. When we apply these tools of rationality all together, over time, the consequences are staggering. It is, and I'm not exaggerating, the engine of all human progress. And here's the payoff in one simple chart. For pretty much all of human history, if you were born, you could expect to live to be about 30. 30. Today, it's over 70. That gift of more than 40 extra years of life, that wasn't an accident. It didn't just happen. It's the direct result of us applying reason through things like the scientific method, public health, and medicine. And it's not just about living longer. This progress is moral, too. Reason has been the force behind our greatest moral leaps forward. Think about it. It was rational arguments that exposed the cruelty and the pure illogic of things like slavery, of torture, of treating people differently because of who they are. I absolutely love this quote from the philosopher Peter Singer. He says that starting to reason is like stepping onto an escalator. You don't know exactly where you'll end up, but you know the direction is upward. Once we commit to actually justifying our beliefs, we set in motion this unstoppable force toward a better, more just world. So, that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The tools of reason have already given us longer lives, more peace, and more justice than any generation in history could have dreamed of. So if that escalator is still moving upward, what huge problems will we solve next? Where is it going to take us? Now that is something to think about.